Real estate negotiation is not just bargaining over price. A deal can move through repairs, timelines, deposits, credits, appliances, contingencies, and closing costs. The final agreement is a package of terms. Real estate negotiation is a structured exchange around price, risk, timing, repairs, financing, and closing terms. A buyer's opening offer tells the seller whether the buyer is serious, aggressive, cautious, or testing the market. The first anchor often shapes the conversation. An anchor should be strategic, not random. The first offer sets an anchor, but the strongest negotiation usually depends on evidence. Comparable sales give both sides evidence. In everyday life, if similar homes sold for less, the buyer can support a lower offer. If they sold higher, the seller can defend the asking price. Good negotiation uses data instead of only opinion. Comparable sales, inspection findings, appraisal risk, and days on market all shape leverage. Motivation changes leverage. Time pressure often matters as much as market price. A seller who already bought another home may be more flexible than a seller who can wait comfortably. A buyer may ask for a lower price, seller credits, repairs, appliances, or a different closing date. A buyer with pre-approval, stable income, and clear funds looks easier to trust. Certainty can improve a buyer's position even without the highest price. Financing affects negotiation power. A seller may counter by protecting price while offering smaller concessions elsewhere. Contingencies are negotiation tools. A buyer may offer a stronger price while keeping inspection protection, or offer a cleaner contract in exchange for a better price. That is why every condition has value. Negotiation improves when each request is tied to evidence instead of emotion. The key is separating serious defects from normal wear. Inspections often restart negotiation after the offer is accepted. A roof issue, plumbing problem, or electrical concern can lead to repairs, credits, or a price change. Emotions can rise because a home is both a financial asset and a personal space. Appraisals can limit how far a price can stretch. If a home does not appraise for the contract price, the lender may not finance the full amount. Buyers and sellers need a plan for appraisal gaps. An inspection report can justify repair credits more clearly than a vague complaint. A buyer short on cash may ask the seller for credits while offering a slightly higher price. Closing costs can be traded. That can help cash flow, though the loan and appraisal still matter. Good negotiation separates the relationship tone from the written terms of the deal. Personal property can become part of the deal. Small items can create friction if they are not written clearly. Washer, dryer, furniture, curtains, or outdoor equipment may be included or excluded. The goal is not to win every point, it is to reach terms that can actually close. Deadlines keep negotiations from drifting. An offer may expire at a certain time, and repair responses often have strict windows. Time limits push both sides to decide. Comparable sales help both sides understand whether the price is realistic. A seller may feel judged by a low offer, while a buyer may feel rejected after a counteroffer. Good negotiation keeps emotion from ruining useful options. Emotions are always present. Strong terms are the ones that protect the deal while leaving both sides able to close. A counteroffer cancels the previous offer unless the contract rules say otherwise. That means each change should be read carefully before anyone assumes the deal still exists. Small wording changes can matter. A low offer without reasoning may offend the seller and weaken the conversation. Good guidance is partly about reading people and partly about reading documents. They may advise when to push, when to concede, and when a request could scare the other side away. Agents often translate pressure into strategy. Concessions can move through price, closing costs, repairs, appliances, or timing. Walking away is part of negotiation. A buyer's maximum should be decided before the emotion peaks. If the numbers no longer work, forcing the deal can create years of regret. Good negotiation protects the buyer without making the seller feel trapped. Accepting endless demands after inspection can turn a good offer into a draining transaction. Sellers also need boundaries. A clear limit protects the seller's net result. Negotiation improves when each request is tied to evidence instead of emotion. The best concessions solve real problems. A repair credit may matter more than a decorative fix, and a flexible closing date may matter more than a small price change. Negotiate what actually improves the deal. Leverage changes when deadlines, financing, appraisals, and market demand shift. If it matters, it should be written. Documentation prevents confusion. Verbal promises about repairs, credits, or items included in the sale are weak compared with written contract terms. An inspection report can justify repair credits more clearly than a vague complaint. Real estate negotiation works when both sides understand value, risk, timing, and alternatives. The goal is not to win every point. It is to reach a deal that can close without hidden resentment or surprise. Strong negotiators protect their priorities while staying realistic. The best deal is one both sides can sign and complete. Both sides may give something up, but the final terms should still make sense on paper. A good outcome usually feels clear, not perfect. That is the difference between negotiating and simply reacting. Before acting on property negotiation, connect the offer to the written deal. Before acting on property negotiation, connect the seller to the written deal. Before acting on property negotiation, connect the buyer to the written deal. Before acting on property negotiation, connect the contract to the written deal. Comparable sales help both sides understand whether the price is realistic. Real estate negotiation works best when each request has a reason. A buyer who asks for a credit after an inspection can point to a real repair. A seller who refuses a low offer can point to comparable sales. Evidence does not remove emotion, but it gives both sides something firmer than mood. Negotiation also depends on what happens after the agreement. A buyer can win a price reduction but lose the seller's cooperation on repairs or timing. A seller can push too hard and drive away the strongest buyer. Good negotiation keeps the closing in view instead of treating every point like a battle. A strong negotiator also knows when not to push. Asking for every small item can make the other side defensive and slow the deal. Choosing the few terms that matter most often works better than treating the negotiation like a list of victories to collect. Timing can create leverage too. A property that has been listed for months may invite stronger buyer requests. A fresh listing with multiple offers gives the seller more control. Negotiation is not only what someone asks for, it is when they ask and what evidence supports the request. Repairs are a common example. A buyer may ask for a credit after finding an old roof issue, while the seller may prefer a price adjustment or a licensed repair before closing. Both sides are negotiating risk, not just trying to win a number.